Jason's joined by a team member of his. Thanks again, Roddy. Jason, here, let me get you. Yep, you're
Hello.
off mute.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Okay, great.
I can hear you loud and clear. Guys, we talked, this is so rare. I think a lot of people think about e-commerce marketing and they think about Facebook ads and channel marketing. We spent every moment up until right now talking about conversion, on-site conversion, optimizing people that are already visiting your site. Now we're going to move to the channel with a handful of talks, first in influencer marketing, then we have a little bit of change of pace. We're going to talk about Facebook and Snapchat advertising, which can be related. And then we're going to talk more about influencer marketing and virality. So now we're moving into the channel activities. And honestly, that's how I think about it. 80% conversion, 20% channel activity. Because if we have high conversion rate, then everything we do on the channel will work and our ROI will shine. Jason, how's it going?
Great, great. Can you hear us just fine?
Yeah, I can hear you guys great. And who have you got alongside you?
I have my team member, Frankie. He's our director of brand relations, and he's also an influencer himself. He's got 50,000 followers on Instagram.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So we're going to dive into influencer marketing. I'll talk a little bit about Caro as well, the tool that you've built to help people uncover the influencers that are already purchasing from your brand. Yeah, I'll let you take it away. I'll stay here and we can have a nice conversation about, the future of influencer marketing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to cover there. So like Derek said, Caro is our Shopify app, and it discovers all of the influencers, press, and media that are your brand's customers, email subscribers, and fans. So think someone with followers on Instagram just bought your product. Someone who is a writer at Forbes is subscribed to your newsletter, and someone who's a stylist at Netflix follows you on Twitter. What we're trying to do is really find the people that are most important to your brand, that are lost in your data, people that have influence or a substantial following online that you didn't know about and that already love your brand and products. Yeah, so my name is Jason. I'm the president and co-founder of Caro, and this is Frankie, our director of brand relations. So our talk is entitled, How Many Influencers About Your Products and What to Do About It? This is probably a question that you haven't really thought of, but now that you are, I'm sure you find it kind of interesting. Throughout our chat together, we're going to talk about how the influencers that are already your fans and customers are your brand's secret weapons, and why you should get your products in their hands, and how you can build long-term partnerships with them. And we're in a cool position with Derek because we spent a lot of time together, and he's torn our app apart, checked out every single page of it and done a review of it. And we're in a cool place where we can really talk about the future of e-commerce and influencers, how they relate to each other, and also how Caro is going to help pave the way for that. And so how should brand work with influencers? Again, I've talked a lot about that, and the truth is it starts with you. So one of understand your brand and understand your why. Like, why are you doing this?
For sure.
And then you have to understand the market and the demographics that you're serving. What you have to understand is that the reason that you're building influence agrees with what you're doing, believes in your why, that's how you can get them excited, and that's how you can get them wanting a product, and that's how you can get them partnering with you. And so you have to understand that first, and especially if you're a new store that's just getting started, and maybe you've never done like a marketing or a message design exercise or anything like that, like write that down, talk.
Jason, you're breaking up
In
a little
addition,
bit for me.
when
Here, I'm going to turn off my camera. I know that I'm beautiful and everyone wants to see me, but maybe this will help turn down the bandwidth.
yeah, let us know if it's fixed. How's our connection right now?
It's a little bit better.
Can you still hear?
You're just breaking up for a second. I think it's still coming through. We just want to make sure it's as good as possible. And I'll chime in from audio here, but I'll keep my video off for now.
What in brand so that you get to influencers. Once influencers can really feel that your heart and soul is in your brand and in your products, they can then convey that to their fans. If you don't understand why you're building what you're building, they can't, and therefore their fans can't. And it's really important. And I think when you're building or really creating a brand, you have to bake shareability into it from the beginning. And Frankie and I were having a conversation about that. Like when you're making your logo, when you're doing a rebrand, when you're creating the packaging for your products, like how can I create something that people will one, stop scrolling? That's really what you're doing, is getting people to stop scroll and go, hey, this is really cool. And then how can you get influencers to go, hey, that looks amazing. Like, what is that? I want to promote it.
Mm-hmm.
Is this getting better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's getting better.
Mic check. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Could I just
Always a
interject?
technical difficulty, at least one.
Please. Yeah.
I think, yeah. I think to Jason's point, there's an interesting intersection between creating a product that is kind of made to be shared across the biggest platform, which is the internet at this point, and all in other the way they create content, for social platforms like Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. I guess they share very a lot of commonalities there.
Absolutely, yeah. And so when you're creating your website, your social profiles, your marketing campaigns, ask what is that thing that we're going to sprinkle onto what we're doing that will attract influencers. Our product is all about finding influencers that already love your brand, but each and every day we find new influencers that are customers or email subscribers or fans. And so you have to ask yourself, how can you get more of those people? And also, why do they really matter? Authenticity is the most important thing in this space. You should be focusing on working with influencers that already love your brand and your products, because really what they're trying to do is work with brands where they feel like they can recommend what you're doing and your product to their fans. Be real. You can't just pay an influencer and hey, I know you've never heard of me, I know you've never heard of my products, and will you promote it? And the influencer goes, well, I don't really like your products, but I guess I will. Like, sure, if you want to, you can do that, and to some degree it'll work. But when you find someone with a lot of followers who aligns with your beliefs and with what you're doing, like the results will be so different. It's so awesome to see once we discover a bunch of influencers for our brands and they do that initial email blast instead of, hey, here's my pricing sheet, or yeah, I'd like to consider working with your brand, or maybe they don't even reply. It's a completely different conversation. It's, oh my God, I love you guys. Or, hey, I was gonna buy that next product anyway. Are you saying I can have it for free? Or I've been wanting to partner with you for a long time. I love following you on social media. Like, let's chat. It's just so fundamentally different. And part of the talk is that these people are your brand's secret weapons. And the reason why is because they're your strongest advocates. There are plenty of customers that are just individual, and they're your bread and butter, and they're so important. But when you're talking to a customer with 100,000 followers, what you're really doing is you're talking to someone that has 100,000 potential customers. And so that's how you should treat it. When you're sending that support email, you're sending it to 100,000 potential customers. When you're jumping on a call with this influencer, you're jumping on a call with 100,000 potential customers. And so what you want to do is you want to figure out, why did they become a customer? Why are they subscribed to my newsletter? What made them so interested in my brand? How can I fan that flame? And how can I partner with them and create something that's long-term? And how can I nurture that? And there's a number of different ways to do that, like personalizing a note, upgrading their shipping. Have your director of marketing send them a quick email. If you take that extra step, they will notice it and feel it, and they'll want to do the same when they're creating content and promoting your brand. And so that's a virtuous cycle that can really, really help your marketing efforts.
There's a quick story I wanted to share that I just thought of here. I have a girlfriend who has a Shopify store and she sells clothes. And a big influencer who's a girl who is pretty big on YouTube and Instagram.
Millions of followers, right?
Like somewhere like north of 6 million followers. Bought not just like one or two of her products, but bought like her whole wardrobe for summer.
I remember that, in droves.
And we really had no idea, because we don't pay attention, to like girl YouTubers, and we were kind of just cruising through the new influencers that were on Caro. And we, interestingly enough, found this girl, and we made sure to just throw in a little letter that just said like, hey, like we checked out like your content, like we love what you do. Like keep doing everything you are doing, and like, great job. Like, reach out if you ever need anything from us. And sure, next thing we know, there was just tons of orders coming through. She had thrown us up just briefly, like for like 30 seconds in a like a clothing haul video, and like that was it. And she's a repeat customer now, and there's a personal relationship connected there.
That was free.
I think a few things to take away from this is that her store is small. Like she's a one-woman show. And when an influencer with millions of followers bought her products, and it wasn't one product, it was like 5 or 6 in multiple carts, and then decided to post it on her YouTube, and all of her fan accounts also posted it on their Instagrams.
It just spreads like wildfire.
She was having her best sales day ever.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself, like, if you're sitting there and you have no idea who your influencers are, if you were to find them, like, are you ready to have the best day of sales ever?
Like, she could have,
that's possible.
Yeah, she could have made that purchase, and we would have never known. And maybe it's even happened in the past where somebody cool has purchased and we had no idea, and we missed out on all of the earned media that kind of came from that, and the dollars that came from that.
And if you were trying to work with this influencer with north of 6 million followers out of the blue, I mean, you'd be talking to an agent, it would cost, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. But the fact is, she found a brand that she liked, she bought from it, and then she wanted to share that with her audience. That's what we're trying to do here. And honestly, that's what we think the future of influencer marketing is.
Right.
It's great brands working with great influencers, and influencers making legitimate product recommendations to their fans.
Yeah.
And
all right, I've got a question on that front.
Please.
Well, Frankie, that sounds good. But if you're the influencer, obviously you want to promote the things that you like, but you want to get paid too. Are you thinking, what do you guys think as far as in the future, how paying influencers changes? Is it going away? Is it going down in value? Or is paying the influencers going up in value? Where is it landing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it goes two ways, right? Like, influencers are often, just kind of like regular people as well, who happen to be in the spotlight. And interestingly enough, they have, brands that they like, they have brands that they buy all the time, just like everybody else does. And unfortunately, the way that this kind of like world has been set up is that typically you don't get to actually work with the brands that you want, that you would actually buy, or the brands you actually wear.
As an influencer.
Right, as an influencer. And so that is sort of like, at least where I personally see this industry going, is number one, like much more transparent in the way that influencers communicate the products that they really actually do, wear, and that they actually do like, to their followers and ultimately consumers. And then actually, did you have something to add to that?
Oh yeah, sure. I think the first step, just to touch a little bit more on Frankie was saying, the first step is we want to get you connected as an influencer with brands whose products you were already buying or were planning on buying. So one is that's already saving money for the influencer, and two, it's getting them a great connection to someone in the social media or marketing department of a brand they love. But from there, and this is a really important change that has to happen in this space, is we want to align incentives. So we want to make it so when an influencer drives a lot of traffic and sales or email signups to your store, that they're able to participate in that revenue. And this will really unlock this entire channel for emerging stores or stores and brands that simply just haven't tried influencer marketing yet, or aren't sure if it's really worth it, or they're getting an ROI. And that's just sort of separating these massive upfront payments and saying, hey, we believe that you're aligned with our brand as an influencer, and we believe that your fans will be too. If you agree with us, let's have a partnership. Let's do a few posts or a few videos or a few swipe up stories or whatever it may be, and let's really get traffic and sales that are mutually beneficial to us, to our store, and then we're happy to do a revenue share. And what we're trying to do is we don't want to give influencers 5% or 10% of revenue. We want to give them something more meaningful, but we also want to make sure that they're adding value to brands. We think brand awareness is great. We know growing social is great and growing your email list, but at the end of the day, the funnel trickles down to the purchase. And so that's the difference, Derek, is I'm sure a brand would rather give an influencer, say, $1,500 of a $5,000 or $7,000 revenue day than $1,000 up front before an influencer has done anything or proven themselves or really driven any traffic.
I agree with that, but I have thus far really only encountered influencers that want to take the cash up front. So how do we change the model or the mindset of a lot of influencers? Like, so many of them would just say no to a revenue share.
Yeah, I think it really starts with the why are you communicating? Like, why are you reaching out to them? And
Yeah.
do they or do they not believe in or care about your brand?
Right.
If they themselves are customers of your brand, like if they've actually gotten out their credit card or their wallet and bought your products, they believe that their fans will.
Right.
And they believe that what you're building and what you've created is of high quality. And so, sure, when they're creating content, if you need a bunch of photos for all your product pages or your collection pages or your social profile, that makes sense to do some sort of upfront cash deal or pay upon completion. But typically what we found, and this is sort of like one of the innovations in our product, Carl, is that influencers are just so much more open to a revenue share. And we, like I said earlier, we want it to be a meaningful revenue share. Eventually, we want influencers who are really performing, that are bringing traffic and sales to your store regularly, to be treated in some ways like a retailer, so that they can feel like that they're getting meaningful revenue. And also, this is part of the benefits of our brand network. We want to make sure that when you're considering an influencer collaboration, you can see the average traffic and sales that they've driven across our 5,500 brands. Their rating out of 5 stars. You know, do they do what they say they will do? Do they arrive to the photo shoot on time? Do they deliver their content on the day in which they say? We want you as a new brand in our network to benefit from the 5,500 other brands and their collaborations with our nearly 3 million influencers. So we really want to de-risk that and have brands understand upfront really what they're getting into when they're considering a partnership with our influencers.
I love it. And I think there's so much value there. I think that this actually goes along the lines of what DFO was talking about from a performance marketing standpoint earlier. And a lot of other presenters today have been saying, you know, tracking. We want direct trackable ROI, and brand and storytelling are important, but they need to always be tracked back to ROI. It's not awareness that you're buying.
Right.
Would you ever consider doing like a deal? Because I've worked with influencers where they make video content for us and then we turn that into a Facebook ad. Would you pay them a percentage of revenue from the Facebook ad, or would you only do the deal from their own following promotion?
Well, there's a few things there. We've noticed that some of our agency partners are working with influencers to create content for Facebook ads and Google ads and other forms of pay-per-click campaigns. And they've seen amazing results from that. Like, that content is just so strong and it's converting so much higher. And so that's definitely something that you could be doing. But also, one of the things that we're testing with just a few brands right now are dynamic UTM tags. And what that means is one of our features is called influencer checkout. It's when an influencer logs into your store using a special link with their Instagram, and they can request products at no charge that they want to create content with and promote, and you can send them to them for free as if they're a customer. And so the idea there is that we want you to be able to get as many products out to influencers as possible. As you're scaling your influencer marketing campaigns and you're seeing the ROI, our hope is that you'll want to double or triple down. So once they're logged in, any page that they go to on your brand store has a unique tracking link added to the end of a product page, a collection page, your homepage, et cetera, et cetera. So when they're doing a swipe up story, or they need to put a link into the description of their YouTube video, or they're about to do a tweet or a blog or an article, et cetera, they have a unique link that will track all of the traffic that they've generated from their efforts on social media. And in addition to that, we also want to pay attention to leads and name pending. We're looking at leads as people that are driven from that link, but maybe purchase later. Maybe they're retargeted through your Facebook ad campaign the next day. Maybe their cart is abandoned but recovered 3 days later. And we'd like you as a brand to know that, hey, you closed this sale, but an influencer originally drove that person to your store. In addition to that, we also want to track all of the mentions and stories, etc., on social media so that you can really have a whole picture of what you got. I sent out these products and I got three Instagram stories, a YouTube video, 1,000 visitors, and 10 sales equaling $1,000. We want it to be that clear because we know that if we as a software do a good job, you'll keep sending products to influencers, they'll keep driving sales, customers will keep getting great recommendations from people that they trust, and thus we will change space.
I love it. And I think the tracked website visitors, as well as those unique links, you're combining in a way what is called affiliate marketing, but I always have thought affiliate and influencer have direct overlap. And I think affiliate is sometimes seen more as a dirty word, or it's more about driving traffic with no connection to the person you're driving traffic from. Whereas otherwise it really is just influencer marketing. So there can be two of the same thing a lot. And I think that you're merging these industries together, and possibly the future of affiliate marketing looks a lot more like influencer marketing than what it has looked like in the past.
Yeah, and I think one thing to touch on that's unique with our linking system is we've tried to remove as much friction and confusion as possible. All an influencer has to do is go back to your brand store and just grab a link directly from their browser. And that is the link that's tracked. And the thought there was that they're on the beach, the lighting is great, they're wearing your product or using your product, and they said, hey, this is like the perfect time to create content. Oh, let me go grab my link real quick. They didn't have to get an email from your marketing manager. They didn't have to text your social media person. They didn't have to do anything like that. The link was just there. And by removing that friction, we think that not only will we preserve the authenticity of the moment that they're in, but we've also just made it so easy for them. Like really, we just don't even want them to have to think about the link. We want them to be focusing on creating content. And that's sort of the magic that they do anyway. And so that should be their focus, not the mechanics of how is this thing going to be tracked. And the point of this is, if anyone wanted to share anything with someone on the internet, they would grab a link from their browser, whether it be Chrome or Safari, et cetera, and they would text it or tweet it or Facebook Messenger it, et cetera, et cetera. And that's really exactly what the influencer has to do to grab our tracking link. It's the same thing.
I love it. That's perfect. And so let's, it sounds like I need to revise my blog post to add in this feature. I haven't seen it yet. I need to go tinker around. But I want to talk about the other feature, which is the ability to let that influencer, check out essentially for free or request product so that they can go to those 4 pages, grab their tracking links when they need to, but also get the product delivered to them, showcase it in the story. And I'm imagining Instagram stories is just such a great use case for this, right?
Absolutely it is. Yeah. So to touch a little bit more on that, that's called influencer checkout. You use a link, it would be brandname.com/?Caro. If you send that link to an influencer via email or whatever means, when they click that, they authenticate with their Instagram. And that is to validate that they are in fact an influencer. And then they go and shop on your store as if they're a customer. If you've ever sent out products to influencers in the past, I'm sure you've run into a few things like, hey, which products do you want? Oh, then they go back and forth and send you links. And you go, oh, I'm out of that size. Or, oh, I don't have that color anymore. Or, hey, that's too many products, et cetera, et cetera. This is really simple. All they do is navigate your store as if they're a customer. When they hit checkout, they check out via Caro. And that product request is sent directly to your Caro dashboard for you to approve or edit or deny. So the idea there is just you can work with as many influencers as you can customers because it's fulfilled the same way that you would with a customer order. Now it's tagged Caro so that you can separate in-kind gifts for things like accounting, or if you want to add a special note into that package, or maybe even upgrade their shipping. But that's the idea behind that feature. When they log in, we're able to report back to you as the brand when they promote or tag your brand on social as well.
I love it. And I've used tools in the past, big tools, expensive tools, year-long contract tools, right? Like Upfluence or Ebfluence. They lock you into these expensive deals, and they're only showing the brand side of a lot of what's going on here. They're showing views of video and Sometimes they're not even showing posts or stories to the full completion. Like you're not capturing all the data and you have to go get it yourself, influencer by influencer, and try and calculate that individual influencer's ROI if you are paying for them, right? Because they're not necessarily keeping the cost and the revenue numbers in one place. And so you end up back in a spreadsheet, you know, with 40 posts that you want to go label. What were these posts for? How did sales go for that? And you're doing this like really annoying, often one by one analysis in order to get to the conclusion that you're telling me is relatively instantaneous in Karo. So I love it.
Absolutely. I mean, our goal is to just remove the spreadsheets from your life and let you focus on building meaningful partnerships with influencers that you're excited about, and then reporting back to you how that impacted your brand. That's our goal.
I love it. So I already mentioned in chat.
If you'd like to check out Karo, you can go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We've got the link here. Sorry, we're I think delayed on each other's chat or something. So I already told everyone that it's free. So how is it free? How can this work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you wanted to install Karo right now and see all of the influencers that are buying your products or subscribe to your newsletter, et cetera, you can do so for free. Our goal as a venture-backed company is to prove to you that there are certain influencers that are generating revenue and driving traffic to your brand. And then, and only then, we'd like to take a small cut of that revenue. And so if you want to know who all your influencers are, if you want to send them products today, you can absolutely do that for free.
Love it. Awesome. So it comes in as the, let's say the affiliate component of the business starts to grow.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So who should be managing these?
Also, what was that, Derek? Sorry.
Who should be managing these types of campaigns, these influencer marketing campaigns, and overseeing Karo and the influencers?
Well, our goal is to make it as easy as possible. Eventually, we'd like to get to autopilot, where you're really just approving requests and looking at new influencers, but the tool is kind of working on its own. And so someone in your marketing department, someone in your social media department, a founder, a CMO, a VP of marketing, whoever it may be, it depends on the size of the company, but really someone who wants to get products out to influencers and really build a brand with influencers. Whoever you feel like that would be on your team, that's the person who should be managing Karo.
Love it. And yeah, and I agree. I think someone in marketing can help typically with the messaging, and then coordinating with whoever, if you're doing media buying, to push that influencer content over to see how it performs from a paid acquisition standpoint. Never miss a good opportunity to boost successful influencer content, because if it worked for one following, it could work for many, many others.
That's right. I was going to say, if there's a post that's doing really wonderful organically, getting lots of likes, lots of comments, lots of views, it might be worth trying out on something like a Facebook ad. You may find similar results or even better results. So you can definitely ask those influencers, hey, can I use that content, or can I purchase that content from you? That's something that we've been seeing a lot of.
Love it. All right. So we've got Karo's info here. Where can we get a hold of you guys?
Just through getkaro.com or LinkedIn. I'm Jason Goldberg, president and co-founder of Karo. This is Frankie Hildebrand, director of brand relations. You can also check Frankie out at, what's your handle again?
It's Frankie. My handle is Frankie Hildebrand. And if you guys have questions, you can feel free to DM me. And yeah, we can get right back to you there.
Wait, tell me what it is again.
Frankie Hildebrand.
Yeah, on Instagram. And I'm Jason N-I-N-C.
Yeah. Oh, it's a private. No, I got the wrong one.
I can spell the last name for you. There's a lot of vowels and it's often confusing.
Let me find you. One word. Got it. Nice. I'll share that with everyone here as well. All right. Final thoughts. What should people do next? We're installing Karo now because we listened and we realized it's free and it helps us make money. What do we do next?
Go through all the new influencers and press that Karo has found. You're probably going to go, whoa, I didn't know about all of these people. Pick a few ones that you're really excited about hit the favorite star. It's just a little yellow star next to the profile picture of the influencer, and then figure out what you want to say to them in an invite so that you can invite them to request products. We already have a template for you, but if you want to customize it, you totally can. And then watch the product requests roll in, and start creating content and start doing some marketing campaigns with these newfound influencers.
Also, just to add something that's a little bit high level, after talking to a lot of our brands who use Caro, it's a very interesting idea to treat working with influencers as you do with something like Facebook advertising. A lot of the time it can upfront take testing and figuring out which influencers are the right people to actually communicate your brand effectively is very important. And I love that you mentioned, Derek, that stories must be amazing for us, because we've seen brands who use stories just effectively figure out who the right influencers are. And, oftentimes people treat stories very nonchalant. They're only up for 24 hours. And so it's a good way to kind of like dip your toes in the pool of, hey, Frankie, like, I'd love for you to share my product or share like this part of my brand. You can do so like on your story. We'll shoot you some product, or like we'll pay you $50. Like, oftentimes it's so worth it to just test and try with like 10 people and see what happens.
Yeah, very similar to Facebook ad groups and ad sets. Absolutely.
Yeah, I see influencer marketing, like, it can't be a one-off thing, right? Because if we do this, like, we find 5 people and we're done, like, it needs to be a channel that brings in revenue and traffic over time. So we have to continue to find new influencers and iterate the process until we know which people, which channels, which types of influencers are going to make us the most money.
Yep.
Well said.
Definitely. Great. Well, thank you, Derek.
Yeah, thank you both for coming on here and showing us a little bit more on influencer marketing.